It's very
So
interesting.
how difficult is it for brands to come up with those marketing campaigns to begin with? One thing was to personalize. The second is, we talked about, you spoke about right content to the right person at the right time, probably at the right place. Not the combination of all these four things for probably 5 to 6 different segments of users.
Exactly.
And in some cases, the same brand, let's say, or in some cases, a brand probably would be focused on a certain few segments. So how difficult is it to come up with different campaigns and with so many platforms out there to reach out to those users?
Yeah, for our brand specifically, listen, you can't be across every demographic and be able to speak to everyone, because then it falls flat and then you have no position. So you kind of have to stick to your position and stick to your kind of 2 core demographics, right? One is you have your loyal customer, the ones that are going to buy you always, that are going to stick with you. And then you're always looking for the new customer. And then there's a customer a bit in between where, because there is so much choice in stores now, that you have to grab their attention and relate to them. So what we're finding is brands are really leaning into cultural moments to create their marketing campaigns versus, coming up with that kind of like 5-star campaign that talks to everyone, that's really, beautifully done, but isn't really anywhere. Now it's really about finding that relevant message that is very culturally in the know. So, and really thinking about episodic content, like content that tells a story across multiple different pieces of content. So it's a really different way, because their attention span is so short. And they're on so many platforms. You have to have content that's going to tell that story across all your platforms, but has one combined message. So it's really complex now, right? It's not just about making a TV campaign anymore.
Yeah, I was coming to that because TV, we're clearly seeing a decline in the percentage of media budget being spent on TV.
Yes. Now it's about connected TV.
Now it's about connected TV, yes. And probably for the same reason as well, because you cannot have one size fits all now. You cannot. You could probably still have it 10 years ago, but now you cannot.
Correct. So it's different. And also, like, when you look at the delineation between luxury and mass, there's also a very big difference. Luxury you can still get away with, You're going to have your major campaigns, and it's going to be really around selling that dream of your product.
Creating that aspirational value.
Creating an aspiration.
Billboards and stuff.
Exactly. But mass, there is that expectation of constantly generating content and storytelling and, again, culturally relevant moments and always being on. So it is hard. It's hard.
And especially in the mass, the clutter of brands is also so dense.
Yes.
Yeah, because so many small niche players are coming, probably solving a particular problem. Like you said, very interesting, in one of my previous episodes, guest talked about that customers are on a mission. Typically, right? The mission could be probably it's my wife's birthday and I have to go buy perfume, let's say, or I'm going on a holiday and I have for skincare probably have to find something. So it's for brands to figure out what those missions are. And then try to see where do they place themselves, and then try to orchestrate their campaigns around it, and then speak, and then be more relevant.
Exactly.
Because it's not just being about being on TikTok, Instagram, all this. It's not about that. It's more about what are you talking about, more about the content. Because nowadays, especially, with Gen Zs, if I may say, it's not about just showing an ad. They know what is bullshit and what is real content, right? So it takes them fraction of a second just to swipe out. So like you're saying, the content has to be relevant. You have to figure out, how do you place that product in a particular. Now that's why you see a lot of collaboration happening with Netflix and some of the Amazon Prime series as well, because that's how brands are figuring out, how do we, because they know, let's say, yesterday I was looking at Bath and Body Works. They have a collab with, I think, doing a Netflix for Bridgerton. So they know there are certain audience which will come and see, and which products to place. Probably it's a safer bet for them than doing, let's say, a television.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But then again, it goes back to our earlier point. This is where the data comes in. You've got to be looking at the data. You've got to be looking at the data of your consumers and where they are and what they're interested in and what they're watching, right? Because, again, we have all that information now. So you really have to take a deep dive into that to then allow that to inform what you're doing, not just from a storytelling perspective, but also where you're playing that story. So yeah, I mean, that's everything these days.